week off and everything changes.
Good evening and welcome to Paranormal Hangover.
Good God, Paranormal Hangover, ladies and gentlemen. Good God, when we took 1 week off, I go into our dashboard to start the show, and I'm like, everything's changed. What happened? Things are moved around. Who did this? So.
Well, you put on your Magic Mike music, and everything comes back to life.
I was stripped too. Put it on. It's not just Magic Mike, it's Magic Marc.
Oh!
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us this week. Y'all keep coming back every week. More and more punishment. We'll keep doling it out.
Ew.
So we took a little hiatus last week because our special guest of the week had canceled on us, but we'll get them back eventually.
Yeah.
So
Michael Clark Duncan has Ebola? What happened?
So anyway.
Is his name Thomas Eric Duncan?
So we took a week off. We've got a lot to talk about today because lots and lots of things have happened over the last week.
Mm-hmm.
We first of all, our special guest tonight is Mr. Tim Weisberg. Tim Weisberg. Tim is one of those guys that I had always heard a little bit about. Got to finally meet him at Paranormal. At
really?
Parahistorycon.
Paranormal HistoryCon?
At Parahistorycon 2 this year up at gorgeous Lake George, New York.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to see Tim. Got to meet Tim. Spent a little bit of time chatting with him too. Incredible person, and he's just one of those guys that's always busy. Mm-hmm. He's got so much stuff going on.
He's done about 400 million things, so.
Man, so excited to talk to him tonight. And then if you recognize the name, I'm sure you're not tuning in because you don't know who he is. If you recognize the name, Tim just recently announced that he is the writer and researcher for the new show coming out, Ghost Stalkers, produced by Nick Roth.
Yes. Starring
John E. L. Tenney.
Yeah.
And Chad Lindberg. And that'll be on Destination America.
Yeah.
So Tim will tell us all about that. And not only that, but he's going to talk hopefully about Spooky South Coast.
Yes. Like talk
his
about that.
passion for sports and his sports knowledge.
Yes.
And we have a couple other things we'd like to chat with Tim about.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
Other than that, what'd you do today, Lauren?
I did laundry. I survived a Scolopendra attack at the laundromat. What else did I do? And then I hung out in the house because it was pouring all day. I love this weather, though.
You should have watched Pete's weather report.
This is my listen, let me tell you something. I love the fall. I love the rain. I love this weather. It depresses the hell out of everybody else, but I love it. I light my pumpkin candle, and I watch Halloween movies. I watch the news and all the crap that's breaking, all the viruses that are breaking out in the country.
Ebola in Texas.
Enterovirus here in the Northeast.
They stopped giving kids polio vaccines, and strangely, a polio-type virus starts spreading through children. Oh, what do you know?
Hey, what's that all about?
What happened there? I don't know.
Nuts.
Crazy stuff. But, couple things to announce. Before we get to the big stuff,
yes,
we still have tickets left for our event on November 15th.
At Ventfort Hall.
Lenox, Massachusetts, starring...
Dun, 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 dun.
Mass Ghost Hunters Paranormal Society and their special guest,
Brian Cano.
You can get your tickets at mghparanormal.com. mghparanormal.com. Go there now. Well, not now. Go there in an hour. Buy your tickets. Mm-hmm. And get ready to have fun. It's going to be an awesome night. Ventfort Hall is one of those places that has not been on any of the big TV shows.
Correct.
It has been investigated a few times by very small teams.
Yes.
So I love it because there's not a lot of, I don't want to say, influential things out there, but there's not a lot to kind of cloud.
That's the perfect word.
Yeah, can't cloud people's brains. They can form their own stuff.
Yep.
So that's something that we'll see people buying tickets for, and hopefully sell that out by the end of this month. I don't want to go in the last week going, hey, we need tickets sold. And also we have not an event, but an appearance we're going to be making. I want to say maybe in 1 or 2 Fridays from now at a place here in Gloucester, Mass. Called The Cave. Mm-hmm. It's a wine and cheese shop. It'll be a Friday afternoon. Look for that on our website. It'll be a Friday afternoon, and come down and meet us and chat with us. Tell us your stories. Give us some leads to places to investigate. That's what we look for.
Just hang out. Have some wine. Have some cheese.
Heck yeah.
They have delicious food there.
Mm.
I'm not talking. It's not like a restaurant or cafe or anything. They sell wines and cheeses and chocolates and linguiça and what else?
Delicious stuff.
Delicious stuff.
Delicious stuff.
Like
anyway.
seasonings and spices.
Anyway. And we also have a huge, huge announcement to make in case you missed it at about 5:45, 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We have signed on Deadly Grounds Coffee as our sponsor here on Paranormal Hangover. And I can't think of a better remedy or cure for a paranormal hangover than a nice big tall cup of Deadly Grounds coffee.
Deadly Grounds coffee.
We got the Hell's Fury in rotation right now.
So good.
Hell's Fury is divine.
It's so good. And I'm not a coffee drinker, and I love it.
But we met the guys. We met Tom Lialios and those guys up at ParaHistoryCon 2. And we got to chat with them a little bit. Really cool people. Fun product they have. Yeah. They got the hearse with the plate that says "To Die For" on it.
Yeah, they're all really nice. Super nice.
Yeah. Super nice.
They make a good product. They're proud of it.
Yep. And you can go to their website, deadlygroundscoffee.com. Deadlygroundscoffee.com. Hit their website. They sell their coffee. You can buy their coffee on their website.
Yep.
And get some in your house in your coffee pot because it's delicious stuff.
Yep.
And next Wednesday, for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the show, we're going to have Tom Lialios on to tell us all about Deadly Grounds and what gave him the idea and where it came from. So he's going to give us a Deadly Grounds 101 next Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah. I do have a question, though. Uh-huh. Did you drink like 4 Red Bulls for you?
No, I didn't. Okay. No, I didn't. But you're not like super talkative, so I've got to make sure I get it all in.
I can't get a word in.
Good. Run the show. Go ahead. Run the show. Take it. Take it. Go ahead. Go on. Can't have any dead air now. Oh, my God. Oh, look. Everybody just left the chat room. Oh, my God. So
that's that.
Everybody show of hands in the chat room. Who has Ebola? Just don't shake any hands in there.
Don't even mess with that. This is seriously like 28 days later happening right now.
It is not 28 days later happening right now.
Okay, sorry, 21 days later, because that's how long it takes for the virus to show
itself. It takes 90 days for it to incubate.
It takes 21 days for it to show itself.
Oh, man. So we got paranormal stuff happening. We got some investigations of our own coming up soon. Yeah. And October is going to be a big month for us, so keep your eye open to when we put our posts up, because
or your eyes, because most people have two.
Tim's kicking off an amazing month by being our first guest, and I couldn't think of anybody better to have on right now. So I'm glad that we've got Tim coming on. I've like I said, he was fun to hang out with at ParaHistoryCon, and the rest of the month is just going to be amazing. I'm not going to drop any names yet about people that are going to be coming on the show, but you're going to be pretty excited about some of the people we have. Mm-hmm. But
it's October. It's Halloween month. Let's, come on.
This is Paranormal Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have entered the month, October 1st, kicking it off, Paranormal Christmas, and we're not even in Salem yet. I don't even know if I want to go near Salem right now.
I probably will, just because I like stuff like that. I'm one of those nutcases that loves the crowds on Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
But only when I don't have an agenda. If I don't have to worry about going shopping for anybody, it's okay. I can just walk around.
See, I'm
I can quick exit out the side door if I start having an anxiety attack.
I am completely opposite. If I go, I cannot go and just hang out. I have to have a mission.
Yeah.
And that mission is like, I go in and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I've got my shit. I'm out.
Yeah.
As fast as I can, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with people. I mean, it's ridiculous. People are nasty when you get in there.
Yeah.
They're nasty.
Well, it's fun to be nasty back, though.
Oh, whatever. I'm not even going to chat right now about that police video that came out. There's no reason to touch base on that. It is what it is. It's a video of something on a camera out in New Mexico.
Oh, the New Mexico police station video?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. What I've been told about it, but I haven't watched it.
I thought I showed it to you.
No, you didn't.
I could have sworn I showed you on my phone and said, look at this. And you went,
No, you didn't.
So, whatever. It's a smudge on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say a smudge. It's a fog on a camera moving through. It looks like it could be walking.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is I would lean more towards some sort of a spider web very close to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And because when you do that, it washes out everything close to the camera. So you've got a spider moving across its web, and it just looks like a white fog moving along the screen.
Yeah,
I've seen that before.
You did tell me that. I do remember you saying that.
So.
But yeah, I don't know.
Let's see if I can remember how to do this, because I think our guest has arrived. I'd like to say hello to Mr. Tim Weisberg. How are you, Tim?
Hey, Marc and Laura. How are you guys?
Hi, Tim.
Hey, thank you very much for being our guest on October 1st, Paranormal Christmas Month.
Oh, I'm more than happy. I already have bodies hung by the chimney with care.
Nice. I haven't gotten mine yet. Tomorrow I have to work.
It's in hopes that the Great Pumpkin will soon be there.
Right, that guy scares me.
Oh my God, right? So how are things down on Cape Cod right now? Because it's pouring buckets up here right now.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I think we're up to 3 inches of rain so far today. So that's pretty significant for around here. Luckily, I live on top of a hill, so I shouldn't get flooded out during the show.
Excellent.
Hopefully.
Oh, my God, that would be tragic. We lost our guest. He's floating down the street. We'll have to send the police. No, never mind.
It's a GoPro.
Awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming on. I wanted to have you on the show anyway, and then you dropped that bombshell about joining up with the new TV show Ghost Stalkers and being the writer and researcher. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I actually knew about it when we were up at ParaHistoryCon, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. So it wasn't until last month when the network officially announced the program that I could actually give away the details, because they've kept everything hush-hush, everything under wraps, because they want this to really be something new and different.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen teasers about what it is, but how much can you tell us about what to expect from the new show?
Well, I can tell you quite a bit. One of the things that we've tried to do is we've tried to go to places where you haven't seen them on television before,
right.
Which is getting harder and harder to do, but we were able to do that. One of the key factors behind this show is if you look at some of the shows that are out there now, I think they've done a pretty good job of convincing people that ghosts do exist and that what we're doing each weekend when we're out there in the dark is not in vain. Ghosts are a real phenomena. And so I think the shows have kind of shown that over the last 10 years now. But now it's time for somebody to take the conversation to the next level. Yes, ghosts are real. Now we have to figure out the why and the how.
Right. And without giving too much away, are we going to be seeing like new techniques and equipment being implemented in the show, or is this going to be something that kind of changes everything when we watch it?
I think you're going to see some different approaches. You're going to see some different equipment for sure. Part of it is when you look at the two investigators of the program, John Tenney and Chad Lindberg, they're two guys who come from completely different spectrums of paranormal research. John's been doing it for over 27 years now. Chad's only been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. And you have kind of that new wonder approach that Chad experiences every time something happens, with that, old hat, but looking through it with a set of tempered eyes with Tenney. So you're looking at the experience and the newcomer coming together at the same time. And what's interesting about those guys is they've both actually had either a death or a near-death experience. John Tenney actually died when he was a teenager, and they were able to bring him back to life. And Chad Lindberg was very sick in the hospital and was near death. So they've both come very close, or in John's case, to the other side. So now it's what happens when you have somebody who is on that wavelength, who has already been to that next realm, and you're putting them in places that rub up against the other realm. And that's something that no other show has been able to do. So just the people that we're putting in there is new and different alone, not to mention some of the great equipment that you're going to see from Dave Roundtree and some of the other approaches.
Oh, nice.
Cool. That's wonderful. I'm excited to see something like this, something different. It's what we need. We like you said, all the shows out there are showing us the that they do exist, that ghosts are real, and that, or at least paranormal phenomena is real. But now why? Why and the how? And I'm looking forward to seeing what's different and how they're going to go about, convincing and proving everyone that this is the why and the how.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty cool for us, I think, as fans of the paranormal to get into this.
Well, what's good about it too is that we're, I don't mean to make it sound like we know the why and the how. That's not the idea behind the show. It's to take the viewer along as John and Chad are trying to find out the why and the how. So they're going in there without any real preconceived notions, other than they think that they can find the answers by going to places that have a history of being extremely haunted.
Sure. Now, Sorry, go ahead. Okay. No, you have a question? Go ahead.
No, I don't really have a question. I'm like still fascinated, but I've only been doing this for like a year and a half, but I'm like still fascinated by the fact that so many people out there have those near-death experiences or death experiences and come back more attuned to the world, whereas before they might not have believed it or even cared, and then they come back like, whoa, hold on. Yeah. Now I hear Grandma Rose talking to me at night, like out of nowhere. I just find that so
what's
fascinating.
Funny about it is I never really bought into the whole idea of, operating on different wavelengths when I first started exploring the paranormal. And it's something that I've slowly opened up my mind to over the course of the years. Being friends with psychic mediums has helped, and also seeing people who are able to have results on investigations where others don't. And even myself getting more results than I've had in the past. So I see people actually making that connection. So it actually does make a lot of sense to me now that we say that people develop psychic powers when they have an accident. We say that some people are born psychic or have mediumship abilities. These people are all operating on that other wavelength, and those who are on that wavelength tell all of us normal folks, us brick walls, that if we open ourselves up, we can reach that. So that's kind of what I think happened with John and Chad, just in my own opinion, is that they both were able to get to that next state of being, that next state of mind, and so it makes it easy for them. Where some of the rest of us, we either have to work at it, or it has to be some sort of tragic accident that brings it out in us.
Right.
Yeah. And I think almost, like with John coming back, and I by no means am I speaking for John, but coming back to, being dead and coming back to life. In a way, just has to kind of, you almost have to buy into the fact that there is a higher power working somewhere to for whatever he experienced for the time that this happened to him. I'm sure it's just an awakening point where you're like, wow, I'm alive again.
Yeah. I know what happened. Yeah, I know what just happened. I don't care what anybody else tells me. I know what just happened. I was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's got to be that awakening moment there that happens too. So.
Yeah.
What's interesting about John, too, is that he hasn't let that be, he hasn't let that taint the way that he examines the world of the paranormal and the supernatural. He doesn't say, well, I know the answer because I've been over there. He looks at everything and gives everything a critical eye, but at the same time, he's willing to take on other theories that other researchers might not. He has no problem with telling you, ghosts, aliens, UFOs, they're probably all interconnected somehow, and we have to figure out the connections between them.
Sure. Right.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a story for another day. That's another show. It's another show,
Tim. A Sasquatch and a ghost walk into a bar.
So why don't you kind of take us into how, I don't want to get into essentially how you were chosen, because obviously you're doing the right thing and you're very good at what you do. So that right there is a reason to be chosen. But how much work are you doing behind the scenes to find these places and do the proper research to get the history going, to understand that, all right, this is definitely, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat everything, but this is definitely a show or a location that would be good for TV and is going to be good for what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the secret to it is you need to find a place that is not only everything that you're looking for in terms of paranormal activity, but here's a dirty little secret that a lot of TV shows don't like to talk about. They have to actually let you in. We found tons of great locations that we thought were perfect, but then you do a little bit more research and you're like, oh nope, burned down 4 years ago. Oh nope, been torn down and turned into apartments. So there's that factor working against you. But when you do find a location that has everything that you're looking for, which is part of what I do, myself and Nick being involved. Nick kind of has the final say on everything, but it's myself and Justin, the story producer. We're the ones that are trying to find these locations. Or John and Chad might share with us some of the ones that they've been to in the past, and we're the ones that basically just research the history, try to separate the fact from the fiction, and then our job is to contact all the people that are involved and find out more of the story behind the haunting, more of the experiences that people have had. And then basically all I do is I put that all together in almost like an informational packet of providing the information for the location. So it's great because it's everything that I've been doing for years in terms of researching haunts and using my skills as a writer, but I don't have to be involved in the the investigation process. That gets to be all Chad and John and what works for them.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for the tidbit.
No
I don't know if you know
I mean, that's the thing too is. Like a lot of, you hear a lot of people out there that say, well, I can understand why they let the TV show come in, but they won't let us come in. To a lot of these places, it's business, and that's what it comes down to. But we've been, at least in the episodes that you'll see on these episodes that are coming, we met some great people who were involved in these locations, just some fantastic folks who not only love and appreciate the historical places that they have, but they get it when it comes to the paranormal stuff. They understand that, there is something greater than just them owning a building. They're stewards. They have a responsibility in some way to help explore that side of things.
Right, exactly.
I like that, stewards.
Yeah, it is. Believe me, here's a news flash for you. Yeah, we get turned down a lot when we make phone calls trying to go into places. So
yeah, exactly.
It happens, and you've got to. It's hard to find that recipe, if you will, that sets you apart from the 100 or 200 other teams that have called to try to get into that place, or wrote a letter or sent an email.
Yeah.
Listen, I tell teams all the time that there's always teams that will contact me and say, how come, you're involved with Legend Trips, and Legend Trips gets to go into all these places that we can't go into. And, I don't think I'm giving away too much information when I say here, the reason why that we can get into these places is because they're making money off of it. When we have an event, it's an event designed to help them make money for historic restoration. So they have a purpose. They have a reason to say, yes, you can come in. So I tell groups all the time, listen, I understand the whole, we're not in this to make money thing. We do this out of the goodness of our heart and because it's not proven, so you can't charge and all that kind of stuff. But the key to being able to get into haunted locations, pony up the dough.
Yeah.
And this is true. And it's there are so many amazing places to get into to investigate that charge I don't want to say an exorbitant, but charge a good chunk of money, a good amount of money to get you in there. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes you really got to assess, do I want to do this just for the recreation of it or not?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. You've been doing Legend Trippers for a while with Jeff, and you know what you're doing. You know how to set it up and how to get teams in, and there are a lot of people out there that, the level that we're at, there are plenty of people that go around saying, well, I tried to get into this place and they wanted, I didn't charge any money to have people do this event. Why would they charge to have people? Well, it's because they have to pay to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to pay to get in there. That's why you've got to charge the money to the people coming to the event. It's just how it works.
If a location is haunted, okay, chances are the people who bought that location didn't buy it because it's haunted. They bought it for another purpose. And if it's a historical place, it's for teaching. Like let's take for example, and I'm just going to use this as an example. It's not even a real place per se, but let's just say the house where President Millard Fillmore was born is now a historical museum, and it has rumors of being haunted. I just picked So it has rumors of being haunted. Now, the Millard Fillmore Museum that is housed there turns down every Acme paranormal group that comes in and wants to investigate. But when a company comes in and says, we want to hold a big event and we're going to pay you X amount of money, now they see the benefit of having the paranormal side of things, but they see it through a monetary perspective. So to them, it's still just business. It's no different than if the Boy Scouts wanted to come in and rent the place out, or somebody wanted to hold a wedding. And that's what I think a lot of folks on teams don't understand. And it never hurts if you ask a place, how much is it if we want to come and investigate, the Millard Fillmore house on Saturday night. And then the Millard Fillmore house emails back and says, well, sure, you can have it for $2,000. That's our rental fee. Everybody gets all up in arms and says, well, they wanted $2,000. Send them another email back. Explain to them who you are, what you do, and that you have very little money, but that everybody in your group might be willing to pay $100 each for the night. And then the next thing you know, maybe you have that access, and you have it, they'll say, well, you got to come on a night we don't have anything booked, but you can find that bridge. You can find that middle ground.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just have to try, and so many people just are so quick to want to be negative about it that they go, they want to charge $2,000. That's ridiculous. And then they go on Facebook and Twitter and they make all these negative comments and they pardon my French, they shit the bed themselves because, that's not really what happened.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and then other locations will see that or hear about that, and then that taints their opinion of you before you've even contacted them. But one of the things that I've never understood about that whole idea of going and complaining about it is here's the thing. We deal in a field here that automatically has a stigma for a lot of the general public. You know, a lot of people think that it's a weird waste of time. And a lot of us feel, and we hear it from our own friends and family, that what we do is a weird waste of our time. So that is in the back of our mind. So the minute somebody throws up a roadblock in our way, we immediately go to that in our minds as being the reason why. And it can never be because it's a business or because, you know, they have a blanket policy of everybody that comes in charges. You know, one of the things that people really don't understand about these locations is they have insurance. And that insurance doesn't allow for people to be wandering around in the dark intentionally, walking around with things that could hurt them if they fall over or break valuable objects. And so it's that insurance sometimes that will keep you from being able to have a paranormal event. There's so many factors that go into it that people don't bother to actually research.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And teams don't even realize that it's pretty important for them to carry an insurance policy if this is what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, that to carry your own personal liabilities. You know, and that actually opens doors too. If you have that liability policy that you can present to, hey, listen, we are insured and everything.
Yeah.
People take you a little more seriously, and then it takes a little bit of burden off of them as well.
Right.
But there's locations with legend trips that we couldn't get into without providing that insurance that we carry.
That was exactly what I was going to ask you. I'm like, what about legend trips when you're trying to plan these events that you want, you know? And your events seem like they're pretty cool. I mean, I've never actually been able to. I haven't gone on any of them, obviously, because otherwise you would have known. But because you would have heard me. But, like the Mark Twain house, what was that like?
See, the great thing about legend trips is I'm convinced that there's some otherworldly factor that's guiding all of this together. You know, as great as, you know, we try to plan everything in advance, and as much time as we spend trying to plan everything just seems to work. And we've got a great group of legend trippers that come, you know, we have a huge return rate for all of our events. And so when the people come together, I think that it's the people that are coming together that are helping a lot of this activity take place. But the Mark Twain house was one of those rare instances of a perfect storm of things. You know, we had a location that had never really been, it was the first time they'd ever had a paranormal event. They'd had the ghost hunters in for an episode, but that was really the only investigation that had ever been done there. So that you have that factor of everything being fresh and new. We had some really different new experiments taking place. We brought in the Connect system from Bill Chappell, which was, I think it was only our second time using it. Mm-hmm. And so you've got everything coming together to work out well. And just to walk in the same footsteps that Mark Twain walked, to be in the room where he wrote Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, you know, that you're just dealing with something that's bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's nice because, like with Glory Haunt Hounds, you know, Legend Trips is doing that. It's taking you on a little bit of a trip back in history through time to learn a little bit about that location and do it in a fun way through the paranormal. And it's cool to get people to kind of take that trip back and remember a little bit about, you know, hey, oh yeah, Mark Twain, that's right. I forgot. He was incredible. You know, he wrote these incredible novels or stories that people just talked about forever and still do to this day. They're part of your education and your learning. Mm-hmm. So to be, like you said, to be a part of that is, I hope the people that go, and I'm sure they don't, but I hope the people that go take it for what it is and don't take it for granted, because it's awesome.
And you're Mark Twain's out. Like we just found out that, well, okay, maybe some people in Gloucester knew this. I know Mark knew this, but like I just found out 2 days ago that T.S. Eliot had a summer house here. Yeah. That's up for sale. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
In Gloucester? Like, the only thing I know about Gloucester is The Perfect Storm and Wicked Tuna.
The only thing I know about Gloucester is every time it snows, they automatically cancel school. They're always one of the first ones to cancel. It's always Gloucester, Mass, and Foster, Gloucester, Rhode Island.
Gloucester, Mass, and 9 times out of 10, when they do that, it rains. So, or we get no snow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But and that's something I wanted to chat real briefly. I'm glad we segued into this as smoothly as we did. Edaville Railroad. I remember as a kid always seeing stuff about Edaville Railroad. You got to get down to Edaville. what was the process like to get into Edaville Railroad? Was it a simple, hey, we want to have an event there and it's going to be paranormal based, and they were like, sure, absolutely, come on in? Or was there a bit of a back and forth to convince them?
Edaville is one of the prime examples of why not every paranormal group can just get into every place. I mean, not to toot our own horn, but our own reputation had a lot to do with that, the reputation of Legend Trips. But also the fact that I had built a relationship with Edaville for many years, working as a journalist in this area. I've loved Edaville since I was a kid. I've been going there since I was, a year old. So when I worked as a journalist, every year there was always the Christmas story or whatever event they were having. I would always be the writer to cover that because of my love and history with Edaville. So I already knew kind of the people in charge there. And we brought up the idea to them because we'd heard stories from park employees and people who had lived there over the years. Part of my family had actually owned a piece of the park at one point. So, the stories have been coming in for many years. So I approached them at just the right time when they were trying to come up with new and different events that they could have as they're expanding the footprint and the reputation of the park. So I sat down with them, and I had to sit down with the person who's in charge of the park, who is also a lawyer. So it's not like I was going to be able to, BS my way through it. And we had a good back and forth discussion on what it was that we want to do. And the important part of any, foot in the door for a Legend Trips event is we tell them, we say to the people, come for the ghosts, but stay for the history. You're getting a lecture on the history of the location. You're getting a tour. When you leave there, you'll have a newfound appreciation for the location that you'll share with other people. And that was what really intrigued them more than anything. And the fact that we were able to sell out that event and turn it into something very successful, they look at that as a good benefit. But at the same time, you're finding a new way for people to love what it is that you love doing. And I think that was the key more than anything.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. And I mean, again, the reputation is huge. It's definitely one of the major factors in getting things done. Do you recommend, obviously it can't hurt, but would you recommend to any small paranormal team or a team that's trying to get into locations in their hometown to get involved in the community?
In terms of, what do you mean by getting involved in the community? Like doing community events?
Yeah, well, not just community events, but getting involved in
cleaning programs and volunteering and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I think everybody should do that anyway, whether you're in a paranormal group or not. But if you are in a paranormal group, you especially should be out there doing it. And I know that every group likes to have their matching shirts, so you should all be out there in your matching shirts, handing out flyers or bumper stickers to people that ask, or business cards, or whatever you have. And you should be telling everybody, who it is that you are and what it is that you do, because it's one of the easiest ways for people to see you. It's free advertising, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, it shows that you're about more than just what you're getting to it for yourself. I actually recommend that paranormal groups volunteer to go out and do cleaning and maintenance and upkeep at cemeteries. Every year around Memorial Day, they're always looking for extra hands. So I always recommend groups go out and do that. Just a way to show people that you are no different than the Elks Club or the Rotary Club. You're just another organization in town and another resource for people in town.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Did you happen to catch my rant the other day about the cemetery next to our home and people's dogs pooping in the cemetery? And I kind of went off on that one for a little while.
I'll definitely go back and check it out, because it's something that happens more often than not. And a lot of paranormal groups cut their teeth on cemeteries, because
True.
You know how many dead people there are in a cemetery?
All of them.
All of them. So it's and you got to think, not everybody is going to stick around the place where their body is buried, but there still might be some people who are. Exactly. So it's a great, I call it the kiddie pool of the paranormal. It's kind of where you start wading in a little bit before you jump into the deep end. So, every paranormal group does it. Even though they say we don't investigate cemeteries, they all go to a cemetery at one point in time or another, even if it's just to take those, overdone publicity shots for themselves. But they all go to one. And if you do, or even if you don't, a cemetery is something that people will connect with your group. So it's a good way for you to get some publicity for yourself. And the other thing that groups need to do is they need to be their own best publicity. Don't inundate the local newspaper every time you have an investigation because they don't care. But do tell them when you're doing an event that benefits the community, like a cemetery cleanup or volunteering at an elementary school, anything like that. That's the kind of stuff that you want to make sure that people know about.
Yeah, because they kind of pass over the other stuff, just another group, Whereas in the other part, they're like, oh, a group, and they're from here, and they're doing that. Awesome,
Doing what we do, there's no entitlements.
Yeah,
There's no sense of, you have to open your doors. Like you said earlier, you have to open your doors to us because, this place is haunted. We know it is. So it's our duty to come in and investigate. No, it's not our duty to come in and investigate. We want to come in and investigate. And if you want to let us in, we're coming in. If you don't, well, then we got to find some other place to go. And
it sounded like Virgil Earp. You want us to come in? We're coming in.
Maybe I am.
But that happens. That's the approach that so many people have, and the mindset that they have is, we're giving up our time. We're doing this, free of charge, and so people need to let us do it. No, nobody has to let you do anything. My house is my house. If I thought that I had a ghost in here, I wouldn't be opening my door up to every paranormal group saying, "Come on in." It's my private home, my private sanctuary. And the same with a business. If it's a place where I'm conducting business, I don't want people coming in here, and I don't want to give it a reputation of that. I don't want to take the risk that, teenage kids are going to try breaking in some Saturday night when I'm not there. And that's what people don't understand. Is they don't understand it's not about the responsibility that they have to the paranormal. It's about the responsibility that they have to themselves and to their home or to their business.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Entitlement's a wicked thing. It is. That's just exactly what he said. I did this, so you should give me that. Well, no. That's exactly what it is. It's entitlement. Yeah. I gave you a Christmas present, so you should give me one back. No.
Well,
you gave it to me out of the goodness of your heart. Or, as a gesture, as a nice gesture.
Yeah, but that is kind of mean not to give somebody a Christmas present after they gave you one.
Really?
Well, what you do is you just take what they gave you and you rewrap it and then give them that gift back.
Oh, why? You re-gift them, don't you?
Oh, hey, Tim.
No, I usually don't. I usually just keep other people's gifts that they gave me around to possibly re-gift it.
For only when they come over. He's got a basement labeled with his gifts and people's names. So when they come over, you grab it and put it out.
Yes, and it gets embarrassing when you don't have a good file system for it, and you end up giving them what they gave you. So then you look stupid.
It's like old school when you give them back to the bread maker or whatever it was.
Didn't I give this to you last year? I loved it so much, I got you one.
They never buy it.
What was it? Oh, no, I have a quick off-topic question for you. Can you tell me a little bit? I just want to know what your thoughts are and just fill me in a little bit. I hear you're an expert on Italian Renaissance sculptures. Just tell me a little bit about that.
No, when Lauren and I were talking about show topics, I picked the most obscure thing that popped into my mind that I know absolutely nothing about. So that's pretty much the only thing that I can't talk about, or at least fake my way through. That and country music.
Oh, no country.
No country for old men.
Oh, my God. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what else you do other than spooky paranormal stuff. Spooky, you like that? I segue into spooky South Coast for you.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
You have you're part of another program called Spooky South Coast, and you also do a lot of sports. You have a sports blog, I believe. You write for the newspaper. And you've also got a show.
Yeah, I started off as actually, I never really wanted to be a sports writer. I mean, I watched as a fan, but I never really felt opinionated enough to ever want to be a sports writer. I actually went to school to be a teacher. That's what I was hoping to do. And my wife was going to be a journalist. And then, halfway through, we kind of switched. And she became a teacher, and I became a journalist. But it was funny because I was big into pro wrestling, as we all were back then in the late 90s. And there was a column that ran in my local paper that was syndicated. And every couple of weeks, there wouldn't be a column. And it would say that Alex did not write a wrestling column this week. and they'd have that little block in there. So I emailed the sports editor, and I said, that's ridiculous. You know, I'm wrestling. I can write. I will write you one every week, and I won't even charge you for it. I'll do it just to get, you know, the experience and all that stuff. And I didn't hear back for like a year. And I thought that was so rude because, you know, at least write back, sorry, kid, we're not interested. So I tried again. A year later, I think it was a year to the day, I tried again. And I got an email back from the new sports editor. And he said, yeah, we'll give it a try. Send me a couple columns. I'll see how they are. And if they're runnable, we'll run them. And it worked out well. And I wrote that column for a number of years. And that led to me getting more sports work and actually joining the sports staff over there. And then I found out the reason why I didn't get that email returned is because the guy who received the email was like in his 70s and had no idea how to work email. So it wasn't personal. He just never knew that he had an email. So I started, you know, I covered high school sports, which I still do quite a bit, but I also had the opportunity to cover the Patriots and the Celtics, and over the course of the years, I've become the beat writer for those two, well, the beat columnist, I'll say, because I write columns, and that led to getting involved with a local radio station doing a sports show for a number of years, and now I'm over there as a general talk show host on Saturday mornings, and first guy off the bench if somebody needs a day off, and of course Spooky South Coast, which will be entering its 9th year or 10th year, I don't know. We started in January of 2006, so we'll be celebrating our 9th anniversary coming up this January.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is so awesome.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Nope, you go.
No, that's all right. You're going to talk about something more important than me.
Well, yes, because I was going to ask him how he felt about the Undertaker's streak being broken at WrestleMania.
You know, a lot of people kind of lashed out against that, but if you look in the months that have happened since and the way that it was able to elevate Brock Lesnar, then it makes a lot of sense. Because at some point, the streak had to end. And, you know, Taker's an old school guy. He's going to do things the old school way. And he's going to put somebody over when he feels the time is right to put somebody over. And I firmly believe that it was completely, you know, Mark Calloway's call. Yep. You know, Vince might have said to him, hey, we really like it if you lost to Brock. But, you know, this situation between Lesnar and The Undertaker has been going on for years. And there's always been a mutual respect between the two. So I think Taker kind of knew that it would be somebody he'd want to lay down for if the time ever came. And at the same time, now it gets all that streak talk out of the way. So if he does want to come back at WrestleMania 31 and have the match with Sting that everybody's rumoring to have happened, now there's no streak on the line. So now it becomes really anybody could win that match. So it's actually a smart move because it elevated Lesnar and it allowed for development of The Undertaker, which we haven't seen in years because it's just been all about the streak.
Yeah, I love that analysis. See? You get to talk to somebody about. We've lost Lauren, by the way. She's totally zoned out now because we're talking wrestling.
Well, and at the same time, I made that sound really smart, but I was making I made that sound like I knew what I was talking about. But when it happened, I made the same face as that guy at ringside. You know, the Undertaker shocked fan guy. I was making the same face.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but Mark's dying laughing.
I'm sorry, I gotta compose myself. Compose. I just love how, it's funny because you say it that way, and you know I've I've like a tenth been following wrestling here and there. It's the same thing, you know. I know I can turn it on, watch Raw one night, and be caught up on everything anyway. But
it's a male soap opera.
I look back and I think about when Brock was I think about when Brock was in UFC. And that whole thing where Calloway showed up and was watching his matches, and then they start mouthing off to each other, and I'm thinking in my head, you know, was that all part of setting up WrestleMania? Was that all part of it?
I think
Go ahead.
Part of eventually having them meet somewhere down the line, and you know, it shows because a lot of people look at that and they're like, well, you know. Obviously, Undertaker has a problem with Brock Lesnar. Well, no, I would say exactly the opposite. That's a huge sign of respect for him because you never really see the Undertaker out in public. You know, you never really see him making appearances. He's somebody who's been very protective of his gimmick and of kayfabe over the years when other guys, and I know wrestlers are going to hate me for using wrestling terms, but, you know, people for the longest time wanted him to come out as Mark Calloway to events, and he wouldn't do it. And now we're starting to see him do that, showing up in his wife's Instagram photos and going out to, you know, different Comic-Cons and Wizard World and everything. So we're getting to see that Undertaker mystique peel away a little bit. And so that might have been part of it, too, is kind of like a hint when he confronted Lesnar at that UFC event, kind of like a hint that if I'm going to drop it for any guy, it's going to be this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. See? And we're not going to talk Patriots. I'm not going there tonight. We're not doing it.
I don't think anybody wants to go there.
We'll do that after that time. All right, let's reel it back in. I think we're losing people because we got off paranormal and we got all wrestling.
No, believe me, Marc, a lot of people who are fans of both wrestling and the paranormal. It's a lot of the same audience. I've discovered that over the years.
I've discovered that too. Our Dom Bouchard is like a huge wrestling. Yeah. He's like a nut when it comes to it. And when you guys talk about
one of the biggest. Yep.
Yep. You guys talk about these names, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. I don't know why they don't like each other. Like the last wrestler I knew.
There's no go shows on Monday night, Lauren. There's no go shows on Monday night. You should be watching Raw.
But there's Bones.
Oh God.
Bones is on.
No, Sleepy Hollow's on Monday night. That's the problem. We watch Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yeah. I was thinking reality shows.
All right, I'm gonna reel this back in. First off, I do want to ask you: are you going to be at the Rhode Island Comic-Con?
I believe so. I was there last year. I was there at Terracon. Steve's a great guy. I've been working with him on events for a number of years, so I think so. We haven't really solidified anything yet. I'm kind of last on the list of importance at an event like that because he's got some huge names coming in.
Oh my gosh! The funny part is there's some tremendous people going, and I mentioned it to people. They're like, "There's a Rhode Island Comic-Con." I'm like,
yeah. Not that many people know about it. Yeah.
And I think it's only the third or fourth year, so it's just starting to get a notoriety. But everybody in the con world knows about it. It's become an instant success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I think we're gonna try and get down at least for one day, to check it out because it looks like it's gonna be a blast and I'm excited to go down. I want to meet Mick Foley. So.
Of course you do.
We had him on Spooky South Coast a couple of months ago, and for an appearance he was making on the Cape, and I've interviewed him a number of times over the years. He's a great guy, and he's somebody that's willing to talk paranormal. There's a few wrestlers who are, a few celebrities who are, and you'll see a lot of those at Rhode Island Comic-Con. A lot of those folks are willing to talk about supernatural topics.
Oh, that's very cool. Cool. That's very cool. So. Let's get this back down into the paranormal realm here.
Why? It's fun to go away for a little while.
It is fun to go away for a little while, but just quick here. We've got a little bit of time left. What's upcoming? All right. You can watch like Ghost Adventures and see Jeff Belanger, get into some of the episodes at Salem and stuff like that, or a picture of Jeff on the phone with Jeff Belanger. Are we going to be seeing that with Tim Weisberg coming up on Ghost Stalkers?
We haven't really even discussed that at all, and I'm fine with it not happening. I definitely am not an in front of the camera type of person. I don't need to be, but I'm sure at some point, if we end up hitting some of the locations that I've investigated, I'll show up. Whether or not they use me for anything is a different story. But that's that the way I see it is, the show is about John and Chad. And the show is about their journey to find answers and to take the audience along for the ride while they do that. And so, if I just get to watch that and I get to be a part of that journey, that's all that I'm looking for.
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
Yeah. And do you have any idea yet? I'm sure you have a little bit, but do you have any idea? Is episode 1? I know that the screening is coming up in just a few days. In episode 1. Is it going to be a moment during episode 1 where we're all like, holy crap, and it's going to hook everybody in, right? It's going to happen, right?
There are definitely a couple of holy crap moments in episode 1. And I tell you that I haven't really heard beyond, I've seen episode 1, but the other episodes I haven't really seen yet. And I haven't even heard about some of the things that have happened. I've just heard, they keep telling, I ask. I say, well, what happened? How, text Nick, text to whoever, because Nick's working on the show, and John and Chad were there for the investigations, and Dave Roundtree. So I'll text them all and be like, hey, anything good happen? Or I'll email the producers, anything good happen? And everybody's like, oh, just wait till you see it. It's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But they haven't told me what it is. So I get to watch it with the viewers, which makes me really excited.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, we only got a little bit of time left, Tim, so why don't you wrap up a little bit here and tell everybody how they can find you and where they can hear you and any appearances you may have coming up.
Sure. Well, SpookySouthCoast.com is the main website for the radio show. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Tim Weisberg. And if you want to come along with us for some of our events, it's Legend Trips with an S at the end, legendtrips.com. Those are kind of the main ways to get a hold of me. But I'm always on Facebook and Twitter. I try to be I try to, like, do the actual work that I'm supposed to be doing wherever I'm getting paid from a job to, cover a game, pay attention, write a column about it, but I'm still always on social media. It's kind of an addiction.
Yeah, talk to Marc about that one. Marc has an addiction with Facebook.
Yeah. Well, you have to. If you're in this field, if you do what we do and you want people to know that, what's going on, or you want to get into places, you've got to have that presence. You have to network with people.
No, Marc, you're just making excuses now. We are sick. We have a disease.
Stop.
We need counseling.
All right. I'm starting off.
Step one is admitting you have a problem, Marc. Step one is admitting there's a problem.
That means I want to get better. Step one would mean I want to get better. I don't want to get better.
Yeah, I want to get better, too. I want to find a way to do it without anybody realizing that I'm doing it so I don't get in trouble. That's how I want to get better.
I need to find a way that I can do it and still be able to look people in the eye while I'm trying to do it on my phone.
Oh, my God.
Behind my back. Yep.
Whenever someone does that to me and I'm talking to them and they're on their phone, I go, hello? Yeah, I'll just wait. I say that to them. I'm like, I'll wait for you.
Don't worry. Sooner or later, it'll all just be imprinted in our brains. They'll put a chip in our mind that will allow us to automatically send Facebook direct messages.
Oh,
and if you ask anybody with Messenger, they'll tell you that that's already happening.
Can you imagine everything you bought goes to a message?
Yeah, I think it's in those new Messenger terms of service. I think it actually says in there somewhere you have to agree to allow them to put a chip in your brain at some point. So. Sure.
It actually, I got to be honest with you, it's making this job a little bit easier, because when we put our posters together to put out on Facebook, and you put the poster together and you upload it and go to share it, and it already recognizes Tim Weisberg's face.
Yeah, it's
like, okay, great, it already tagged Tim Weisberg for me. Thank you.
Hey, social media has put people together in this field that, wouldn't have existed without it. I mean, back when we started doing Spooky South Coast, there was one guy that you could call him. One guy in the paranormal that you could call him and he'd pick up the phone. And everybody knows that guy. It's John Zaffis.
Yeah.
So he's the only guy who had his phone number on his website that you could pick him up and call him, and he'd say, sure. Everybody else, there's a getting to know you process and a research process, and social media is a good way to be able to do that.
Yep. Yeah, remember that? You had to pick up a phone. 1, 2.
Is that the phone? Is that the noise you're
I pick up the phone all the time. I just don't ever use it for what it was intended for. Making calls? What is that?
What is this call crap?
Tim kept going, why do I keep getting these 900 number bills? You were calling Miss Cleo.
I actually contacted Miss Cleo. I actually contacted her years ago to come on Spooky South Coast. And it was, the actress who played her, she decided that she didn't want to come on the show. There was a lot of back and forth for a couple of weeks. But she decided that it was better off that she didn't come on the show. But that she said she did actually have abilities. But they weren't anything close to what they had her portray as Miss Cleo, and that they would actually go in and there would be almost all the readers were people that claimed to have abilities, but they had to go in there and ask a bunch of questions off a cold read sheet that essentially, it was like a choose your own adventure. If the person on the phone says this, turn to page 7.
I love those choose your own adventures. Those are awesome.
My God, I know. I used to love those books.
Those are great.
I always used to write my own versions when I was I used to always write my own versions when I was a kid. Like, I'd make my own ones out of, like, spiral notebooks. But I got, like, really lazy and kind of sick and twisted, and at the end of every one, you died, no matter which way you chose.
You get burned by a dragon at the end of every single one.
You turn a corner.
I didn't even get creative with it. I was just like, you died. That was it.
I died. Damn it. I'm going to check the other one. Oh, I died there, too.
I died there, too.
Oh, I got to go back now. There must have been a different path I could have taken.
Whatever happened to those books?
I don't know.
I think they got... Yeah, I think video games pretty much took over those, because that's pretty much the basis for every, like, fantasy role-playing game that ever existed. So, you can actually watch what happens instead of have to read about it. Reading is so, 1980s.
Oh my God, I know. Reading is so yesterday. But it's the same thing with, like, I guess like Diary of a Wimpy Kid is like the new like series. But I remember when I was a kid, like when I was a young girl, Babysitter's Club. It was like 40 books. Everyone had them. Everyone had like Judy Blume books. You know, that was like the thing. They don't have that anymore except for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
That's like
right.
the only...
You know, people. What's funny is if a guy goes through puberty or a girl goes through puberty now, we can't just read a Judy Blume book about it. We have to actually talk to our parents.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
It's so much easier when they just handed you the Judy. Dad, I have this weird feeling when I go to bed at night. Here, read this book, son.
Yeah.
Ramona and Beezus.
Listen, we're almost out of time, but I was going to tell this story earlier, and I forgot to. And this whole video game talk just made me remember what happened. No word of a lie. I'm saving the best for last right now, and I'm going to put you through this right now. I was at work yesterday, and Grand Theft Auto broke out right in front of my job.
Oh, my God, yeah, it did.
Some dude fell out of a third-story window onto, like, a subroof. His girl came out of the window, or his mother came out of a second-story window and was, like, talking to him. And then he dropped off the subroof onto the pavement, bloodied face, got up, runs about 70 yards across the street, grabs some guy, rips him out of his Ford Ranger, books down the street at 60 miles an hour on a, like, 20-mile-an-hour road.
Yeah.
Takes a corner, heads on down, police are chasing him, rolls the truck, smashes, and then breaks into somebody's home to get away from the cops. In downtown.
And you guys thought Dustin Parry was a nice guy. Look at him.
Oh, my God, imagine.
The paranormal rock star, Grand Theft Auto.
Well, no, see, what it was is he broke into that house because they had a pie on the windowsill. That's what it was. So
this is true.
He did it all for pie.
He was just trying
I'm
to
just
get
kidding.
the
He would
donuts
never do
mixed up
anything like
pie.
that. He would never do a thing like that. But no, that sounds like awesome. Mark, were you sitting there the whole time, like pressing like A and B to see if you could make him get away from the police, or no?
I was playing my Xbox. I was hitting the X and the R trigger to try and make the guy spin, and I was hoping to pull a gun, and it wasn't working.
I'm a PS3 guy, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I am a Nintendo. Like just Nintendo, girl.
No, it's okay. He played PS3. He played PS3 because the Xbox games were too hard for him.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Listen,
Lauren, next time we're hanging out, I'll let you use my phone. I have every original Nintendo game ever made on my phone.
Sweet. When N64 came
I even
out,
bought the controller to push my phone into. That's how sick I am. I bought the controller.
Oh my God,
all right, you're worse than me. All right,
That's awesome.
Tim, we got to let you go, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
Time to release the hounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start running for the gates.
Have a great night, Tim.
All right, good night, guys.
Thank you, Tim. Bye-bye.
Oh, there we go, Tim Weisberg. That was an awesome time. I think we got a little off track there for a little while, but that's okay.
You know what? It's life, all right? If we only talk about ghosty stuff, we're going to bore ourselves to death.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go off the path a little bit, off the beaten path.
Paranormal's not boring. Flip was very good. Flip was in the chat room this whole time, and I don't think he said one. No, he said audio gone. That's all Flip said all night long. Audio gone.
Audio gone.
He was a good boy tonight.
Yeah.
He didn't harass me. He didn't try to.
I wasn't really in the chat room.
Didn't put any penis
He's probably just listening. We love you, Flip. Thank you.
Anyway, yes, that actually did happen. We actually witnessed a Grand Theft Auto moment in front of the dealership last night.
Yep.
I felt so bad for the guy that got yanked out of his truck, but it was a good time. And
everyone's okay,
yes.
Thankfully. So,
anyway,
okay.
Thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank Flip for saying that I have very happy thoughts. And I also want to thank Deadly Grounds for sponsoring us. And
yes.
We're going to try and put a nice little commercial together. And
thank you, Tom and team.
Yes. Anyway, guys, have a great night. Thank you for tuning in to Paranormal Hangover.
Adios.